Salutations! It's not a Curtis training video without a cat. Gotta worry about your cat safety, you know. Here you go, bud. Okay, well, as you know, I work at NASA, and we have safety meetings every week. We want to be safe at work and outside of work. So I chose the topic this week as table saw safety because I recently got a table saw from my old boss. And I went ahead and used it without, any training or looking at anything. And then I looked at some safety videos and realized I did it all wrong. Let's see where I went wrong. Well, here is the table saw. It's a Ryobi portable. Very nice. It's a nice used table saw, but it's missing a key component. Not only is it missing the blade guard, which should be up here to accidentally keep myself from putting my hand here, it's missing something called the riving knife or a splitter. And apparently that keeps the piece of wood when you're cutting it from getting caught in the blade and getting thrown or kicked back. So that helps prevent kickback. So, with that, it doesn't have one, so that means that's not good. So I got to buy one before I use it again. But I was told that the riving knife prevents like 90% or more of kickback. So that's the number one, is make sure you have a riving knife or what they call a splitter, piece of metal here that keeps the wood from getting caught by the blade and thrown into your face. What I didn't know was that you will get, it throws the wood at 100 miles an hour. Well, I should have known better. The revolutions this thing is spinning. Yeah, that could kill you. And another thing, I wasn't wearing ear protection. I didn't have goggles on because I had my glasses, but the wood could easily go underneath or over top. So that's another thing for cutting that you need to think about. Now another thing is, I was going to make the top for this saw table over here, and I was just going to trim some wood because it needed to be trimmed like an inch, and I was just going to hand put it in there. Well, that's another, I'm glad I decided not to, because that seemed a little stupid. Instead, I used my mini table saw, which is actually an upside down jigsaw. I used that. That's a good thing I did, because that would have been a stupid mistake. What you're supposed to do is use the fence. If you're cutting, you're supposed to push the wood up against here, and you're not supposed to lean over the saw, and you're supposed to have push sticks to help push it, or a push block. I don't have any of those things, so before I use this again, I'm going to get push sticks, I'm going to get the blade guard, I'm going to get the riving knife, and I'm going to do it properly. So those are some very important tips. And I guess if you wanted to use this as a cross cut, there is a device similar to this one here, where you put the wood in here and push it, and you can put it at different angles. That's why they call it a miter fence or miter guide. So I probably might want to get one of those as well. And that's it. That's all there is for the table saw. Of course, make sure it stops spinning before you get anywhere near it. Use push sticks, and use the guides, and make sure to have all the safety devices, because without them, it's a lot more dangerous. It won't kick back. Oh, and another thing, if you're using a piece of wood and you're cutting with it, let me get a piece real quick. Another reason they have guard and the kickback thing is, I didn't know this, but people tell me this happens. If you're cutting and you're holding on to the wood really hard and it kicks back, it doesn't just go straight at you. It could go at an angle. It could end up dragging your hand right into the blade. And I had no idea that could happen. So now that I know that, like I said, I'm not touching this until I get the safety equipment installed And being a newbie, I need to have all the safety equipment installed. So that's it for saw safety. One more thing is I'll do a quick tour of my crappy cave. This is a shelf that I put up, and I put up some rails for my weed whacker, so I can put up the weed whacker when it's still hot. Gasoline and everything for the weed whackers up there. We have some storage over there, and you see I put these white rails all along so I could attach things to them. And of course my bench. This is my tool bench. I've laid out a pegboard and I'm going to put in more shelves and stuff. I have a light up here, but I don't use it with my video because I'll show you. It's a little bit too strong. I think it washes out the whole thing. So I have a work light. And one more thing is my wood rack. I've seen a lot of other people after I built this did something similar. And if it looks crooked to you, that's because it is. When I was putting it together, I'm like, okay. I watched the video and I'm like, I'm going to straighten that out, right? Because it's obvious how crooked it is. And no, I never did. So, yeah. And my latest project is my saw table. And that holds my miter saw. That's why I'm never going to use this table saw to do miter cuts, because I don't need to. I have this beautiful miter saw. I have my inverted jigsaw table saw, which it's so much safer as far as I'm concerned than a table saw. I'm going to use it whenever. But for the big pieces of wood, you kind of have to have a table saw. So that's it. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you didn't, people at NASA, bye-bye. Live long and prosper. Have a great day. And let the force be with you. May the force be with you.